And then the other footnote of the Bulldogs was the Sam Draper comments on Luke Beveridge, which we should acknowledge. He made some comments on his podcast, which got a bit big on him, and the coach responded.
I've got a big call about the doggies. If Bevo's still there, there'll be some players requesting trades.
Whoa!
I was really disappointed in Sam. He thought he was, in an environment where thought he was being funny. I said, mate, it's the furthest thing from funny. It's disrespectful.
I think the penny did take a while to drop with Sam Draper, and he had to be told several times that it wasn't funny. I think he was sort of putting on the journo hat. The elephant in the room, I think, for Essendon is that what he said, a lot of people have been saying and a lot of people think. So had he said something completely outrageous, Matthew, about another club, I don't think Brad Scott and Essendon would have been so angry. The CEO was filthy. He's spoken to the Bulldogs, a lot of communication.
We'll be back on the podcast this week?
Well, Sam Draper wanted to keep doing the podcast. Essendon didn't. His management, Michael Doughty, has intervened and said, can have a 4-week spell.
Oh, that's an overreaction.
I don't think
it was disrespectful to speak
it was, but his
that.
coach has given him a public clip.
I think there's a feeling from
podcast?
Essendon that
Please.
they were the scourge of the footy world for a long time, and it's a bit early to be coming back and having a whack at other clubs.
Yeah, he didn't need to do it. But
4 weeks spell.
Yeah. And just on the Bombers, I think the last month has been their best month in a long time. 3 wins and a draw, and everyone just says they're the easiest to score against. It's only a month ago came when Port Adelaide got a hold of them. Some of the media scrutiny was just scathing, which was fair enough with how poorly they defended, but getting to the top 8 territories for defence now, which is sensational.
Kane, I promoted earlier on the promo that you wanted to talk about Harley Reid, and you didn't like something that you saw, which is a little bit out of step with how most people have seen the way in play. Can you explain?
I want to do it through a lens of Nick Dacos, because there's been comparisons. Now, that's not Harley Reid's fault, but that is the obvious ones that you make. How good can he be? Who would you take, Dacos or Reid? Firstly, let's have a listen to the Collingwood coach, Craig McRae, speak about Nick Dacos.
He's a young lad that just works incredibly hard at his game. He was one that just straight away just wanted to make the whole place better. Whether it's a time trial and setting standards, or he's the first in to watch his tape with the coach, and his training stands are unbelievable. So what you see last night is no fluke. He's clearly high talent, but his work rate at training is like second to none.
1 minute to produce that. Now, compare Harley Reid's last 5 minutes of the game, and this is the level that Harley Reid has to get to, Nick Dacos level. I understand there's a couple of years extra on there, but Nick was doing this from day one. So the hype, all of that, the media is there and it's real. If he wants to be Jordan De Goey, that's fine, and that's what he will get to. If he wants to be the best, if he wants to be Nick Dacos, he's got to have his training standards to a level.
How do you know what his training standards are?
Well, because I'm seeing him in the last 5 minutes of a game. I don't know what his training standards are.
Saying he's not fit enough.
I'm saying that was a concern for me to see how out on his feet he was late in a game that was nowhere near as high pressure as the Collingwood one. After a week off with 5 minutes to go, that he had to come off the ground. I'm just saying.
You don't know whether he was injured or whether what.
No, I do, because he came back on the ground. So he's not injured, he's cramping. And a cramp is a sign of conditioning after a week off. If you want to be as good as Nick, and that's the comparison that he's there, and rightly so, and I've praised Harley Reid. I think he's been enormous for West Coast. I think he's made them relevant again. I love the fact of how competitive he is and how much of a winner he is. But that doesn't mean you get away with poor efforts and poor training standards. He's got to make sure they're high.
Are you saying you think he has got poor training standards?
Well, I'm saying that's a concern for me.
That's a young man who's cramped, Kane.
Yeah,
8 games in.
And that's a concern for me to see that.
8 games in. And Nick Dacos is the best young player in the game. He didn't have a massive start to this year.
Nick Dacos didn't have a big start to his first year.
No, to this year. I mean, he's been brilliant. I mean, I'm not saying he's the best there is. But
what about
he's
Dustin
not always.
Martin? Like Dustin Martin, maybe in his first 6 games, he's not covering. I think what Harley Reid does different is he's playing inside mid. I can't remember a first-year player in his first 6 games who's taking centre bounces and playing in a role like that. So I think it's different to anything we've ever seen.
Yeah,
before.
no, I think that's fair, but I just hope that those around him and him himself is driving himself to be the absolute best, because he'll be a good player no matter what. If he wants to be great, I would be learning from the best in the game, and that's the standards that Nick Dacos has set for himself, and it was just a little insight and a little concern, and we'll watch it and see how his last quarters are ongoing. But, I think if he wants to be great, he's got to get there.
I just hope he survives all the scrutiny that's on him. Because even that, Kane, I mean, that That's a pretty big statement about someone
Caro,
who's played 8 games and been so brilliant.
He's in the big leagues now.
Yeah, and
he's going to get paid $1 million in his 4th year. Of course, we're going to demand high standards.
I think the scrutiny on him has been ridiculous from the West Australian media, and comments
Kane,
like that
but you were
don't
one
help.
of the great professionals of our game. But think back to your 6th game. Like, they might have said, gee, Kane, you're just not strong enough, or you're just not big enough. No one has a great tank in their 6th game of
So I think you go back and work on it.
Yeah, but
so that's what I'm saying. I hope he's working on those standards so he can get to the level that is not a strong criticism. It's just a warning sign.
You're 1v3 on that.
That's okay.
You're one out.
That's okay. Not for the first time.